We're recording. I almost forgot. Hello, welcome. Hi, Alexis. How are you?
Hello, I feel amazing. I feel really, really good, which is so funny because I feel like I've been in a weird spot the last week, but like today in particular, I just feel really, really connected to my femininity, which we were just talking about this. I don't really feel that connected to, that very often. But I feel very connected to that. I'm feeling really in tune with like I think it's my past self, like a past life, very like based in 70s, and I'm just really vibing with that disco era. That is one of the most feminine moments that I feel in my lives, is when I'm really connected with that part of myself. And I don't know why. I'd love to explore it more, but I just feel, I don't know. I feel like I shaved my legs yesterday, and I don't really shave my legs. And I know this sounds probably gross to some people. I don't really care, but like
I don't know about
I'm
now.
just feeling really like, I don't know,
You're
cutesy,
feeling
feminine.
into the like, I feel like the softness, the feminine aspect of Libra, which is really interesting.
Hmm.
And like now that I'm thinking about it, so I have the transits pulled up. Okay, Venus is still in Capricorn, but I know Venus is moving into Aquarius in the next couple days, which means
Hmm.
it's getting closer to your moon. So you have both feminine, type planets coming into union. So maybe there's going to be like some some new beginning, or just something that kind of surges just with that meeting, that connection. And it makes sense too with it, that 70s type vibe because of Aquarius,
100%.
kind of the hippie vibe, and there's a connection to, that era, the 60s, the 70s, and so forth. And yeah, so that totally makes sense. And I'm really excited. I love your makeup. I love your vibe right now. So you inspired me, which is why I'm looking like this, because Alexis was like, "Oh, I feel this vibe. I'm doing this and that." And I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna have to put on makeup and like, an actual like cute shirt." So
And
here
we
we
didn't plan to both be wearing a mesh
are
shirt, which
here.
I think
Yeah,
is
we did
really
not.
funny.
Yeah, I know. I was like, and actually, this wasn't my first choice. The first choice was also another sheer shirt, but anyway, this is what I went with because it's been a while. So yay, that's really exciting. We've been having some amazing synchronicities.
I agree with you too. I feel like we're on the precipice of Aquarius season, and I'm really feeling that. And I think, what you were saying with the Venus kind of moving into that, and the moon will be moving into that in probably like a week or less. And I feel like with those things highlighted in my chart where my moon is, it really is just emphasizing that femininity, which is funny because Aquarius is not a feminine sign, but I
Right.
I feel very in tune and in touch with that femininity with Aquarius, which is odd. I feel the same with Libra. Libra is ruled by Venus, which
Mm-hmm.
is feminine, but Libra in itself is more of a masculine.
Mm-hmm.
And it's which makes sense with the duality, but
Yeah.
like with
Finding
Aquarius, I
that
really
balance.
feel that.
Yeah. Well, and then we also touched on this because February 6th, well, I guess this is specific to your, no, actually in transit too, February 6th, um, or around that time, basically, Venus will be really close to Pluto. Well, actually, shortly before that. And so basically, I guess what I'm trying to say is like the first week of February, um, into Aquarius season, we're gonna have Venus moving close to Pluto, which is like that strong transformation within that feminine essence of ourselves, and finding harmony and peace and union within different aspects of ourselves, maybe moving away from the extremes, and coming back to your center in reference to like the Aquarius part of you in your chart. What planets are there, what place in your birth chart or area of life it governs. So it makes sense. It all tracks. And I'm really looking forward to um, this bulk of energy that's coming forth in Aquarius. And then there's going to be a solar eclipse in Aquarius in February 17th, I believe.
Ooh.
So that'll actually be around the time we'll be doing the next dark moon dream reflection. So that'll be fun. And then after that, we have this whole lineup in Pisces, and there's going to be a lunar eclipse involving the sun in Pisces and the moon in Virgo, with Venus and Mercury and a few others in Pisces. So that's going to be really interesting. So basically, between like now and March, probably mid-March, there's going to be a lot of activity in your dream space. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if you're going to start really feeling or having vivid experiences, remembering your dreams a lot more, especially if you're aware of it and you're working with the energy. And what I've been really feeling into, or just what's been coming forth as far as the astrology and the energy of the collective during this period of Aquarius season and into Pisces season, we're going to experience an activation of the crown and the third eye chakra, which, you know, that will, especially the third eye, is very tied to dreams. And so essentially we are opening our channels a little bit more. And so, you know, I've been also practicing already now, just grounding myself and just meeting that energy in a way where like I like it's easy for me to slip out of my body energetically. And so grounding myself and feeling into my own body, I think is really, really important at this time. And also protecting your energy, Phil, because with that Pisces energy and just so much going on, it's really easy to take on others' energies and also to like have your dream space impacted by the collective consciousness, because there's a lot of anxiety and fear and all kinds of stuff, you know, as expected. And so, yeah, that's just something to be aware of.
Absolutely. I'm really excited to see what is to come. I mean, it really does feel like we're going to be in a really nice place, especially with the dream space. And I'm excited. I have been definitely feeling a little deeper into my dreams as of late, and we'll get into that, when we get there. But I'm really excited to see what comes.
Yeah.
So that being said, how are you feeling, Urania?
I'm feeling really good today. I had a very powerful moment earlier today of like standing in my power, and which energized my solar plexus. And I don't know, I felt that I moved into this flow of energy where, you know, everything kind of just lines up and things get done, and you have like, there's more time, you know, you just have a lot of time. And you're like, oh, like even you and I showing up tonight, we actually were 20 minutes early and we were on time. Like we got started pretty much. I mean, it was 2 minutes after 9, but still,
That's on
like that's on time for us, right?
time.
So, and it's funny because you were in the vibe that you were in, very light, free, and fun and feminine, and connected to another aspect of you that feels really good and fun. And I was in this wave of just feeling myself. And so, I feel really good. Mary's here in the chat. Mary says, "Hola." She waves and she says, "My dream space is already busy." Yes,
It
and we're
is.
into that. It's been busy as well. So before we get into our dream reflections for the previous lunar cycle, and just as a reminder, the previous lunar cycle began with the Sagittarius new moon on December 19th of 2025. So right before Christmas last year. And the upcoming new moon is this Sunday, if you're watching this, obviously around this time, January 18th. Obviously, 2026 is the new moon in Capricorn. So we're going to be reflecting on that time frame between those, you know, from new moon to new moon, basically. And we're also going to pull some oracle cards and see what energy is coming through. So before we do that, we want to introduce a new segment, I guess is what you want to call it, a new share.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, called Mystical Memory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
so this is essentially a moment that we have that allowed us to feel very connected to the universe, source, whatever, and really impacted us in a way. Um, and this week is actually funny because Urania and I both kind of have the same
The fact that it was the
mystical
same,
memory.
it made it a mystical moment. Like we're like, wait, what?
Right. So since yours was before mine, do you want to talk about yours? How do you want to?
Yeah, I guess like so basically to not keep you guys in suspense because this is actually not even dream related and not to say that it always has to be dream related. I think the occurrence, the synchronicity between Alexis and I was very mystical and this is dreams, astral travel and mysticism, right? So it's in there. But anyway, I randomly was invited by a friend to an improv event where it was like a basically a meetup and you do improv activities and just have fun. It's a time to have fun. I mean, if you know what improv is, you get it. Like we're playing games, we're working with improvisation, and we're just having like you're stimulating your inner child basically.
Yep.
And so I had shared this with Alexis. I was like, oh, hey, I'm gonna go do this with so and so, and Alexis was like, wait, I'm going to an improv, like it was an open mic improv, right?
Yeah,
Event.
it's called Improv Jam. So it's essentially what you did.
Yeah. Okay. So you just come and show up and play.
Yep.
And she was doing that like a couple days after I did it. So I did it on Monday and this is of last week. I did it on Monday and she did it on Thursday. So it
Yep.
was just so interesting that both of us like decided, and I think we've talked about it in the past, but not something like, oh, we want to do this. We just talked about, oh, we like doing it because it came up in the conversation of theater and school and everything. So it just so happened that we both were trying, you know, quote unquote something new or just doing something different that we've done in the past that we really enjoyed, and it's like creative and our inner child gets to express itself. And like what are the odds that we both start the year the same week with an improv class, totally unrelated to anything. We're just like, we're just going to go and have fun. We're going to put ourselves out there and see what happens. And it's funny because there's even further synchronicity where both of us had a really good time. And we can share more about that if you want. But then also just even down to the details, like it's every other week, you know, it's free, you just show up and it's just like, and we both plan to do it, you know, every other week when we can. And so it's just, I don't know, it's really exciting. And yeah, that was the mystical moment or
I
mystical.
loved it so much. I had been thinking about doing improv because the company near me does a like improv classes. So it's like 8-week classes and it costs like, I don't know, like just under $200 for those 8 classes. And I had been thinking about doing it for a while. And then I saw that they do a free one every other Thursday where it's more play. It's not really teaching. It's just you go up and you have fun. And because one, it was free, and two, I didn't feel like that comfortable jumping right into the class. I kind of wanted to get a feel from it. And I probably am not going to do the class just because like my opportunity to do it has passed, like to sign up and stuff that has passed, which is fine because every other Thursday they do it for free where you can just go and have fun. And I had been thinking I had it bookmarked the week prior. I had it bookmarked. So when Urania was like, "Oh, I'm going to this improv with my friend tonight." And I'm like, "What? Like this is insanely synchronistic because again, it's on the same week beginning of the year, starting off with like really connecting with our inner child and allowing ourselves to play, especially like the climate lately has been very stressful. So I feel like it was also a really good time to allow ourselves to kind of like, you go there, you're off the phone, you're really engaged, like you're just kind of bouncing on for like an hour, you're just having fun. And another thing that was synchronistic too is I was planning on going by myself, but I invited my sister and she ended up being like, yeah, let's go. So we went out to dinner, and then we got a drink beforehand, and then we went.
Yeah.
And I wasn't expecting her to say yes. Not that I didn't think she would have fun, but I just, it's a little outside of
It's
what
very spontaneous too to
yeah, it
like,
was
oh wait,
very
I'm gonna
spontaneous.
people. And it's like you might make an ass of yourself, you might freeze, you might, you know, but it's all fun. It's like
It is.
literally
And everybody was messing up. Everybody made an ass of themselves at some point. Like it wasn't like serious acting. It's like it's just fun. It's just fun. And I feel like we don't allow ourselves to just have fun anymore. Um and especially with a group of people, with a community. So the fact that you went with someone who's like a sister to you, I went
Yeah.
with my sister, and we bonded in this way. We were just very connected to that inner child. And for me, I really feel like this was something to heal my inner teenager as well, because I was too depressed in high school to do any like extra curricular activities, really. And theater was my thing. I did theater from like fourth grade to eighth grade. I was in all the plays and musicals. I had like pretty big parts, and it was a lot of fun, despite like the anxiety building up before you go on to perform. So for years now, I mean, through my entire 20s, I had been thinking about, maybe there's local theaters that I can, audition for. And I just never like pulled the trigger on it. And so for all of this to kind of show up all at once and to just make the decisive decision, and I don't know, it was so divine.
Yeah, I feel that way too. And it's really nice. And this is like, I feel that I'm so serious. And my friend that I went with was like, I've never seen you like play like this. And, and it's same with her. I was like, I never see you like, because I mean, we hang out and we do stuff, but it's always, I don't know that. I mean, it's just like, it's a different vibe. And it's so nice because I feel that everything I do, even though like well, not everything I do, but most of the things I do, I'm very passionate about. I really enjoy, but there's always some like goal there, or it's not, maybe not even a goal, but I don't know. It's very like, I
You're
don't
like
know how,
accomplishing something when
I'm
you do it.
accomplishing something.
Yeah.
And with improv, it's just for literally for fun, and
Hmm.
it's fun. And what I love about it, when I think about, and I'm curious if you kind of had this experience too, but it's like thinking about like having the experience of doing improv now versus in high school, which is when I did it. you know, I am so much more confident, of course, like thinking on my
100%.
feet, being able to read the room, being intuitive. Like improv is like it's working in the flow of energy. It's like playing off of other people's energy. You're engaging, you're reading the room. Like, so it's like I already had these skills. I'm just using it in a different way. And that's so fun to me. It's like my brain gets to like use aspects and play in ways it hasn't been able to do or hasn't done in a long time. And I love what you also mentioned. Like I wasn't on my phone. Like, and I'm a parent. And so that was even harder. I was like, oh, probably should check my phone to see if I missed a text or something. But I was like, you know what? Like, it's fine. Like I wasn't like worried, and it was great. I came home and my child was already in bed. I was like, damn, you're in bed at this time and I'm home, so it was like it all worked out. So I'm really excited to continue to do it. And we have discussed like what is the astrology, and I don't know. I feel like it's one of those things, we'll see what it evolves into, or like it might just really, of course it's going to amplify our own intuitive and creative abilities and all other aspects of ourselves. And so I'm just excited. It's so fun.
I 100% agree. And there's something too about being in a room full of people who are there to have fun.
Mhm.
Because when I was looking into doing the improv, my perception of what I should have been doing, like, I was like, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to be a serious actor. Like, I'm going to play, I'm going to do, like, I'm going to be serious. And I'm going to go up there and I'm going to give my performance of a lifetime. But that's not what you do.
Yeah.
Like when you're actually up there, it's more comedy based, and it's more like about having fun with it and being light. And like where at home, like, because I'm such a theater kid, it's not even funny. Like I'll literally be in the mirror and I'll do a whole monologue and I'll make myself cry, and then I'll stop the tears and I'll like pretend that I have to like get myself to like suck it all up and pretend like nothing's happening, or like maniacally laugh out of my tears into like it's like I'm putting on a performance for myself and trying to be like, I'm very serious with it. But what I thought I was going to go into with this was completely thrown in the garbage, because when you're actually there, that's not what it's about.
Yeah.
Now I would pursue a more serious like class for like serious acting, but I think for the time being this really is just the
Yeah.
perfect thing. And like again, it's really healing that inner child, it's really healing that inner teenager, and then you're with a group of people who are all on the same level. They're all there to have a good time, and they're complimentary, and we all clap and we laugh, and it's great.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. And it's fun when, everyone's into it. Like when like everyone will you just naturally let your guard down because everyone's just there to have fun. And like the more silly you are, or the more just you that you are, the more fun it is. And people feed off of that. And that's what was happening. And so it was a really good group. And at some point, you and I are going to have to, like, you'll have to visit when we have like around
God,
the
I
time.
want to so bad. I want to. It's gonna be so much fun.
Oh my gosh. So, anyways, that was the mystical memory of this past week. And I'm just like really, yeah, I'm excited to see how that unfolds because I have no idea. But it feels like very special.
It does, and the afterglow is nice. Like I'm
Yes.
still thinking about it and with like a smile on my face.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna move into the dark dream moon reflections. Yes, dark moon dream reflections. Wow. Dark dream moon reflection. Okay. We're moving into that. Hi, Jackie. Jackie's here saying hello. Welcome.
Hello.
Okay, cool. So in this moment, the moon is actually in Sagittarius and it's dark. So this is really interesting because as we mentioned at the beginning of our chat, that we're basically reflecting on the moon cycle that began with the Sagittarius new moon and how our dream space has been over that period of time. At this moment in time we still have a couple of days until the next new moon, which is again on January 18th. And so when I think about Sagittarius, I think about, as far as that archetype, I feel like there's, speaking of like direction and going somewhere, I feel with Sagittarius, it is like, it's about the journey, right? It's not necessarily about the destination, even though there is like an intuitive, I feel like the destination is more intuitive. And that's a big question for Sagittarius, where it's like, okay, where am I aiming my arrow? Where am I directing my life? Which is where, that whole process is kind of where it comes into play of Sagittarius kind of being like all over the place, or like a wild card, or just like that wanderlust,
Mm-hmm.
because this journey of finding yourself or expanding your consciousness and so forth. And so naturally with the moon having that lunar cycle beginning with the Sagittarius energy, there's a focus on that expansion of consciousness. And so but now coming into this new moon in January, or this new moon in Capricorn,
You're not
I
wrong.
right, it is in January. I can see the focus now, and I see this in my own space, dream space, and maybe you do, Alexis, too, but I see this focus coming in, and like you're being a little bit more disciplined, more responsibility, as in reference to like I've actually slowed down and started writing my dreams a little bit more, or at least remembering them, as
Yep.
opposed to the past two lunar cycles. And so yeah, there's this slowing down, there's this discipline starting to come in, and a sense of responsibility and trying to gain some order, which is like, okay, no, we need it, especially after the
So
busy
bad.
season. So that's where we're moving into that energy now.
It feels really good to be back into like, you know, a ritual. Like I've been journaling every night. I may not have been writing my dreams every day, but I've been journaling every night, which in itself has one opened the door for my brain to kind of be a little more empty for the dream space. Like there's not as much weighing on my brain, so I have the door open for more to come through. But also just like the heaviness of the day, even if it's not that heavy, just taking it out energetically and putting it in a container, it like I feel different than when I skip days and when I don't do it for a while.
Yeah. So I would say, like, being that this new moon started at the beginning, or right before Christmas, so again December 19th, I honestly, the first half of this cycle, I still was kind of in that busy mode. I feel like it wasn't until after the new year. I mean, honestly, my situation is unique, which we can talk about, but I know you kind of had a breakthrough around the beginning of the year 2026, right?
A
As far
hundred percent.
as yeah.
I
So
think
how was
too,
it?
just our busyness. Like, I really feel like the last 3 months of the year 2025, I was so busy that I wasn't in ritual. I didn't have like my routine. I wasn't, journaling much. I wasn't really remembering my dreams that much, and a lot of like I just felt really disconnected. And when January 1st hit, there was something refreshing and new that came through, and this new like drive to be consistent.
Mhm. Yeah. The beginning of, like I said, the first 2 weeks of, or like of this new moon, or of this, sorry, Sagittarius lunar cycle, I went from my ovulation to luteal.
Hmm.
And the first, like, I just was so busy, I didn't remember like any of my dreams. And then shortly after the new year, or kind of in that window, I'm pretty sure that's when I started having really intense anxious dreams. So I was like in the second half of my, or not second half of my luteal phase, but you know how luteal phase is really long. So
Right.
it was like literally right before my period, which normally those type of dreams happen at the beginning. So it was interesting, but I feel like my body at that point was in so much stress, and I had been drinking more, and I had been eating, like, you know how the holidays are, eating all kinds of,
Right.
drinking a lot, stressed about so many things. And so after the new year, my body like reached a breaking point. My nervous system reached a breaking point, and I was feeling that my sleep cycle wasn't completing itself, where it was like I was having like every dream basically would lead to some sort of stressful period, whether like even if it's not scary or like that stressful, it's like there's a stress or an anxious energy, and I would wake up with an anxiety attack. Like it
Yeah.
was like, and so my nervous system was really out of whack. I wasn't getting a lot of sleep. And I definitely, like, I wasn't writing my dreams, although I did still have some profound moments in the dream, but it was like pretty much overtaken by the anxiety and the stress. And it got to a point where I had to basically, and like I ended up in the middle of the night, I would have to like hold myself. And when I'm falling back to sleep, just tell my body, like, you don't have to process it all right now, let's have a deep, restful sleep. And like that was like my mantra. And it actually worked.
Hmm.
And then I would be more present with like what had already come up in the dreams, like later in the day. And I was then going into like focus on balancing my nervous system, and eventually, and like correcting my diet. And eventually, it went back to normal.
No,
But
I
what kind
feel
of like,
like
oh, go ahead.
no,
Sorry.
I'm sorry, what were you gonna ask?
I was just gonna say, what kind of like dream do you want to share? Like a dream that you had like in that early period, or
Oh, I don't have anything from that early period. All I was going to say is that, I dealt with a lot of anxiety with my dream space too towards the end of that, or the beginning of that cycle. And it wasn't like in the dream space, it was in the hypnagogic space before I went to sleep.
mm,
So, I was having like like right before you get into the hypnagogic state, I was having like I was seeing things, and then when
mm,
I got into the hypnagogic state, I was hearing people in my room a lot more than normal. And I feel like, and it was weird because, I remember this very specific moment where like I was seeing this like dark being next to my bed. And, I kind of feel like it's my anxiety monster, I would say. Like, when I'm in that state of fear and anxiety, like my brain will conjure these things up. And like I'm more afraid when I'm in this, like when I'm waking up from the sleep space, and I'm like I'm almost like hiding under the blankets type of vibe. But just I remember this one moment where like my husband wasn't home, or he was home and he was downstairs, I can't remember, but I was in bed by myself, and I heard walking up, he wasn't home, I remember. I heard walking up the stairs, and I heard walking in my bedroom. And I was for sure that he was home. Like I 100% thought he was home and he was about to get into bed with me. And I pulled the blankets off of me and I kind of sat up, and there was no one there. And I notice that my anxiety, when it's kicked up, that comes through more, or at least I don't handle it as well. Where like I'm anxious, I'm in, and there were couple moments too where I flung out of bed, like not that particular night, but I remember like there were a couple nights where I was having nightmares and like shooting out of bed and like having to calm myself down. Like I wasn't in a panic state, but I was definitely very anxious and I had to like, there's nothing happening, like you're safe, until I went back to sleep. But yeah, that hypnagogic state and right on the precipice of it, when I'm anxious, it feels like, I don't know, I can connect stronger, but it feels scarier.
Yeah, that's interesting because that is the state that I'm in when that's the state that most people are in when they have sleep paralysis. It's like in that in between in the hypnagogic state. So it's like you're still kind of like you're literally in between worlds. And, I'll have moments where I'm not necessarily in sleep paralysis, but I wake up in that space because it's always, in your bedroom.
Yes.
Um, and it's like I feel energies and I would have spiritual battles, like, something would be there and I'm like yelling mantras at it. And it's like a whole thing. So it's really interesting. Like I'm curious, this gets me really curious about that particular state. Like you said, like even that could be like a projection of your anxiety.
Right.
Um, like in that space, which would
Mhm.
kind of make sense because if I'm thinking about like the veil of those kind of like shadow figures, and because like even my perspective of like say demons or um those kind of like entities, you know, on varying levels, they are either projections of our own shadow.
Mhm.
And then, of course, that grows. It'll be projections of, like, say, bigger demons and bigger entities. It's
Right.
project of the collective's fears and, anxieties and so forth that take on, there's like so much energy put into it that it takes on a physical manifestation. And
Right.
so it's something, and I feel that lingers there very closely. Like that's like that astral realm aspect before it's like, you're really out there. So that's really, really curious to me. And I'm curious of those of you listening or watching, how was your dream space the first, or the last 2 weeks of December? After that December 19th. So basically in between, like right before Christmas and, you know, as you get closer to the new year, did you have like really anxious dreams? Like I know a lot of people were having restless sleep in some capacity. Um so yeah, that's really interesting because like we didn't share, like you didn't tell me any of that. So I'm like, oh shit, like what was going on with that period? Because it's like, I feel like it was our own stress coming up and
Right.
anxieties, and there was definitely something happening on a collective level to
A
really
hundred
um,
percent.
kind of like amplify and heighten that, where it's like, is everyone going through their own release and
Right.
so very interesting.
I like your take on that. And I've learned from like my experiences, especially from like how I was as a child into my adulthood, you know, when I feel like from my experiences, I've noticed that when there's presence, it's neither good nor bad, it's neutral. And the way that, you know, like you said, it's like your fear manifests into, makes it into something scary. And I've noticed that like I'll go places that I went when I was a kid, or like even being at home, and like I know there's, my sister feels a presence in our childhood house. I do. When I was younger, it scared me, but when I, as an adult, it doesn't scare me. There's no negative energy. It's just like my fear made it scary. And that's how I feel in my apartment. Like when my anxiety is kicked up, my fear makes the presence scary. Where when I'm calm and there's no fear, that presence is very neutral. So
Yeah.
it's interesting, like the way that changes based on how you're feeling. And, I'm not somebody who has been able to see the dead or anything like that. Like I get the corner out of my eye all the time and I can feel it I can
Mm-hmm.
smell it sometimes, that like I don't remember what the word is for it. And then I can definitely like with my mind's eye and my inner hearing, like I can hear and see in that way, but never like in front of me there it is. Um but when my fear kicks up, it feels like something's
Yeah, you feel it
like, I
strong.
know that it's not, I know that what I'm creating is here in my mind's eye, but it's like it's right there. And it's just, it's interesting
Like,
because when I'm calm, nothing's really there. I can
mhm.
feel it, but it's not like showing as anything. I can
Yeah, I
hear it,
feel
but
and
it's not showing anything.
it kind of feels like, you know, like it's a vibrational thing, right?
Yeah.
And so when you're at quote unquote like a higher vibration, when you feel at peace or you're happy and whatever, like sometimes you don't even feel it because it's like it's not resonating. It's not, you're not coexisting on the same wavelength or in the same like reality or timeline. But when you're in those lower moments, like those lower vibes, then it is like you resonate strongly where it's almost like a like you can like a tangible thing or you can see it. And I feel that my own experience in literally during that period where I was just like consistently waking up from like I feel like it was like every dream I was like waking up with anxiety, and it's like I'm not completing my dream, or the like the healing process, like the whole integration of the dream is not happening.
Right.
Like I'm waking up in the cycle of stress. And I literally, there were moments where I woke up and I was where am I? What reality am I in? Because this ain't it. Like, I know.
Yeah.
Like, get on another like
And
reality.
it
Like,
does feel like a
it feels
different
like
when
I'm
you're,
not, where am I?
yeah, when you're in fear, like because I was a fearful child, I was fearful into my teenhood, and I'm still fearful in some ways, but it's not an overwhelming everything fear. It's more of like a, you know, I get nervous about talking to people because I might be perceived wrong or something might come out wrong because of, my issue. Like it's not fear like it was. And I remember like, my fear was so overwhelming when I was younger that any kind of energy, it really did feel just like what would perceive as like an evil, negative like energy. But like I go to those places now, I still feel the energy, but it's not that. It's not that. It's completely different in every single area.
I love that so
It's
much.
it's so
It makes,
I really love this.
yeah, it makes a lot of sense. It's almost like you become more and more untouchable in
I
an
feel
episode.
like we're gonna
Yeah,
I feel like we're gonna have to do an episode on this.
we should totally do that. So I'm just going to interrupt this. Richard of Carver's here, and he's like been in our chats in our lives a few times, but it's been a while. And he said, "Good to see you, friends. Peace, love, and happy 2026." So yes, happy
Happy
2026.
2026.
So yeah, I think like what really helped me, and this is like the beauty of bridging, of like paying attention to your dreams, because I've seen people commenting on our videos, um and just who we engage with through social media, and people are always like, I need to get back into my dreams, or I can even sense people's like stress and anxiety around dreams, because it is really tough. It's really tough when you have these moments of like anxiety. It was really tough for me. I was like, it takes a lot for me to fear going to sleep. And in that moment, after like a week of this, I was like, I'm really like I might just stay up all night, because it's like I don't like waking up like this. Then
Mm-hmm.
once I hit the breaking point and I reached out and got some support, I that's when I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this mantra. Like, I'm gonna calm myself. I'm gonna just talk to my inner self, my shadow, my inner child, whatever is going through this, process. And I'm gonna see if it worked. And of course I use certain herbs to help me. And then it comes to your actions in waking life, because there were things that were awry in my waking life, and things I was avoiding, like of myself. Like I was looking out for other people as opposed to myself.
Yep.
And that was a way of myself processing what I wasn't paying attention to for me.
Right.
And so once I started doing that, that was scary to stand up for myself in that way or put myself first in that way. But once I started doing that, then I was able, then the dream started to subside.
I completely get that. And I feel almost similar with that. Like, I feel like, I had some big fears that I faced, even just this week. And the weight has dissipated. And it just makes it so much easier to rest.
Yeah.
And it
So,
leaves,
oh, I'm
sorry, I
sorry.
was just going to say it leaves the door open for you to, you know, go deeper into your dream space because you're not being bombarded by nightmares and fear. Like you have other things that can come through.
Yeah. So, I have a dream that I was going to share towards the end of that, and it kind of leads into um my dreams that like because there's been a theme that has been showing up in my dreams, and it's an old like nostalgic theme for me. But yeah, and that was kind of like I feel like the improv, honestly, like I had a really strong like shift in my dreams after the improv class. And obviously, like we talked about, like that was really high vibes. It was like feeding the soul, the inner child. So it makes sense. So since then I've had like an upswing in that, and that improv class was on January 5th. So just to like note the date. But you had a transition in your dream space too around that time, right? Because it was like near the
Right.
new year. Do you have a dream that you wanted to share?
Yeah, so
Yes.
the first dream that I'm going to share, so I have three dreams I'm going to share and I'll run through them quickly. The first dream that I am going to share is from January 4th. Now I had um one, two, three, four, five dreams that I remembered. This was the day where like I really felt reconnected with myself because when Urania and I first started doing this, my dream space was on fire, nonstop. Like I remembered 2 to 4 dreams every night almost. Like it felt like it was very, you know, potent. And I know that this year we were going through a lot, and it makes sense. So you're a dreamer, but you're really, really busy in the waking space and you're going through a lot. It's not going to come through as easily. So, I've been paying attention to that as well. But this was really like this was huge for me. So it was the last dream of the five that yeah, one, two, three, four, five. Last dream of the five that I had, and it's very brief. So, I was in this atmosphere of space and void, and there were clouds around me, and there were these huge figures. They were angels and demons, and they were flying upwards with flaming swords pointed at the like this. I mean, I'm not even gonna say sky because we're in it, so pointed upwards. I'll say, and there's a cloud over there, and it's a living, breathing, like everything's living and breathing, but frozen. And so there's a cloud over like in front of me a little bit to the right, and behind that, like to in the distance, is the full moon.
Mm.
And I'm rendering color, shading, light to this scene. And I realize that it's my painting. Everything's living and breathing. Everything's existing with me. It's a part of me, but it's also they're all individual and it's a part of something bigger. But I have this control to render and shift the colors and the depth and add detail and take away and fix and whatever. And I woke up from that dream and I was like, it was so profound. I've never had a dream like that before. It felt monumental, like especially like with all these, you know, demons and angels being so massive compared to like me. Like they felt like skyscrapers around me. And like they're it was so powerful and so important. And even like the concept of the angels and demons, like they were all good. They were doing something powerful. They weren't like it wasn't like evil and good. It was like they were all fighting for something important. And I don't know, it was just it was just really important. And I actually drew a little sketch, not because I woke up and did it. It's not that great, but like you get a general idea of what it felt like.
So cool.
But oh God, that was the first dream of the year that really just, it was just so impactful and so profound.
Mm. Yeah, no, I love that. And I recall a recent dream you had too with a sword or
Yeah,
like a,
that
yes,
seems to be a
yeah,
big
which
part of.
makes sense too. It's like that clarity, that truth, especially like them moving through the clouds. And it's like, but I feel that it's speaking to your own, like the work that you've done. I also feel like this like ascension experience as well. And it's like the work that you've been doing and how you've been co-creating, you know, your life thus far. Like you are moving forward, you are ascending, you are becoming more clear and awakened within yourself. And then it's like you're also like in this neutral space. Like you said, the angels and demons are basically what
One of the same.
one and the same,
One of the
right? So
same.
it's like, and you're really seeing the truth of that. You're seeing the truth of like the duality, and you're like in that oneness moment. So wow, that, I mean, I could feel like how profound that was. Just like I can't like imagine,
I
you
wish I
know.
could pull you into it. Like I wish I could pull you into. I wish I could send you. And it, you know what? It's so funny because when I woke up, I immediately started like thinking, how can I construct this? How can I
Mm,
make this feel as monumental as it felt in the dream?
yeah.
Like I would have to like have this huge gallery space where the ceilings are like 100 feet tall and
Oh,
like sculpt these like, and it I would have to do something insane to make
like
it
it looks like you walk
somewhat
in, you're
resemble
like
what I was
in it, like
feeling.
everything is like it's fully immersive, and you're like
Yes.
stuck into it, and everything's like big and grand, and you feel that you're in that space, like that environment. No,
Yep.
that's cool.
So that being said, that was earlier, that was that last week that I had that. Was there a dream that you wanted to share that was like
Yeah.
earlier in the.
So yeah, on January 5th, that night I had a dream, and there was still anxiety, but I didn't wake up like, I don't recall waking up with like an anxiety attack, right? Racing heart and all of that, and just like feeling um just very anxious and unsettled. Excuse me. So basically in the dream, I the people that were in the improv group were in the dream, but there were two people that were like my friend that I went with and her brother, like they were like in the dream, but they're essentially like family. And then the other people had the essence of the people that, you know, they didn't actually look like them. But anyways, um we were on like a university setting, and I don't know, we were just gathered and we were there hanging out, but also it was like a like we were in a building that was like a communal like living quarters. So basically, I mean, kind of like a dorm, but not really. Everyone was like adults, and they had their own room, and their not their own room, but they had their own space. So it was like kind of like living an open living space, but then there were different sections where it's like, okay, I'm gonna be over here in this little area, and then so people were finding their spots. I didn't live there, I was just there hanging out. And then at one point we went outside, and it was like all good vibes. We were trying to figure out what we were doing or whatever. So we went outside of the building, and we went onto the field that was just outside of the building. It was kind of up on a hill, so we were all hanging out, and I think we were like reading something. But then I realized, I was like, well, first I was like, there's some birds flying around, and there was like a red-tailed hawk, which is, I know it's
Ooh.
that lives, there's a red-tailed hawk in this neighborhood that I see all the time. And then there was, so it was kind of like moving about, like flying around us, kind of almost like hovering and flying about. Then there was an owl that was also in the sky, like flying, which is like you never see that. And it was, you know, during the day. So that was interesting. And then there was like another random bird. So I'm like, you know, does anyone notice this? Like, what's going on? And then I started, like, I saw the red tail hawk like touchdown. It dropped some feathers, which were like peacock feathers. And I was like, oh, I gotta get these feathers and take it home. And so I was going over to get it. And then as I'm walking, I'm noticing all these like 3 or 4 dead birds and hawks. And I was like, this is weird. And then I looked up and then there was a storm coming. And I was like, oh, there's a storm coming. Like, we gotta get all this stuff and go in. Okay, this is probably when my dream started to take the anxious turn, right? So we all went in, and then I was like, and then the storm kind of like whatever it was doing, that shifted. And I was like, okay, I need to leave. And so I'm leaving the building and I'm on campus. And then I'm trying to find my car and it is not where I'm parked. And this is like a theme that's happening now. It's like with my car. Like it's like the car symbols back again. And so then I'm like walking, trying to find my car. I, come across some people and I start talking to them and we're walking and talking. But the coolest thing of this dream was like, as I was talking to these people, I like look across the street in the distance and there's this huge dog, but it's more like the Egyptian kind of jackal, like Anubis, like the very slim. I think it's really actually an African wolf. But
Ooh.
it was like a very slim dog, but it was like its color was like pearl white, goldish white. It was huge. So it was like in the sky, but also kind of like touching the earth, so to speak, like almost in the background, but it was like translucent and celestial like. And I was just like it was so captivating. And I never found my car. And like I eventually woke up, but like, so that was a dream. And like the dream was really interesting, but I like that huge dog, which that's been a recurring like symbol. And I feel like it's a spirit guide at this point.
Yeah.
Um, that was there. So I was just like, I was, it's like, like with the dream, like it's hard to explain how profound and grand it is. And it's like, you want to capture that and like almost like that feeling is just, you want to have that feeling all the time.
Wow. I mean, that's so profound. I mean, right off the rip, like your car being a symbol in your dream again, I feel like is important because I feel like you are at a point right now where you were kind of in a purgatory state on your journey and now things are starting to like gain momentum.
Yeah.
So of course, the vehicle of your life is showing back up and like but you're not quite there yet. So you're not like it's so profound the way this symbol shows up and how it reflects where you're at in your life. And I'm just like that perplexed me right off the rip. But then, the birds, when you're thinking about the birds, what is the red tail hawk a symbol like symbolize? What characteristics does that bring through? I mean, we know that the owl, it's connected with wisdom and the unseen, there's something very mystical about that, and seeing it during the day, which never really happens in itself, is like I feel like a good omen within the dream
Yeah.
space. And the way that these birds represent freedom, and like maybe the dead birds on the ground are more like fear, the fear of
Oh, yeah,
the
that.
fears of not of either
Right.
not being free, or like having what could happen if you take flight. And again, bringing in that storm, representing that anxiety and fear. But then the what I love the most is that you went through this anxiety and what showed up for you,
Right. Yeah.
this monumental, huge, just beautiful other being, this guide here to like essentially be support. And I feel like that the weight of how important that being is within your dream space is enough to kind of like carry you through what fears may be lingering. So I feel
Mm.
like that dream in itself is so profound and important, and I feel like I'm taking it as like a really good thing.
Yeah. No, it felt really good. Like it just, and when I think about the university's location, it's like higher
Yep.
learning and like when you think about universities, you're always going to better yourself and to learn and to improve. And there's like always this like kind of grand feeling like I'm doing something, big, and I'm putting in a big investment in myself and so forth. And so that tracks, and
I
very,
feel like you are, you
yeah.
are putting in a big investment to yourself, and
Oh yeah, no.
you're always learning and growing, and it's just this. I love this dream. I love this
Yeah.
dream. Oh, I'm so excited.
So Mary says that she thinks that every time I have dreams of not finding my car, I'm embarking on something. I'm embarking anew, like on a new journey. And that makes sense. Yeah.
Right,
Um,
because you haven't started the journey yet. You haven't
yeah.
found the car, so it hasn't begun yet, but you're right there.
So I'm just gonna add in, since it's related, directly related, and it's really short. So since then, and I think I've had a car dream before that, but I can't really remember. But basically, I've been having car dreams like crazy. So I think last week I had a dream that my car did break down, or I think it was before that car dream. So I had a car dream that it broke down, and then this morning I had another car dream. And at some point I was going the wrong way. Like someone was telling me I was going the wrong way, or there was a sign, but then I actually like wasn't going the wrong way. So, and it's still kind of unclear because I was trying to remember that point in the dream. I was like, wait, was it the right way or the wrong way? So that's interesting. And then in the dream, I got a flat tire and was like, this whole journey of getting that fixed. And then what else happened with that? And then when I ended up getting the car fixed, it was my old car, not the car that I have now, but it was like my old car. And the person was doing some interesting random monster truck stuff with it, like flipping it over and like twisting it and like flipping it back over. And I was like, in the dream, I was like, I didn't know that you could do that with that car. So it was really interesting, but there was like a lot of focus. There's been a lot of focus on cars again. So, and it makes sense because I have some new, very strong like focus on a direction that I'm moving towards. So it's really
Right.
interesting.
I also love the aspect of like someone's telling you you're going the wrong way, but you're actually going the right way, and how that applies to like your choices, and having to stand in your own power and recognize that what you're doing is right. What you're doing is on purpose, it's right, and it's good for you, and not like letting you know someone else tell you what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. So what, like, go ahead and share your two dreams and
Oh,
then we'll wrap it up with the oracle reading.
okie dokie. So the next dream I'm going to share I had on January 10th. And funny enough, it has to do with an owl. So
I'm gonna be listening, but I'm gonna just take my video off. I gotta.
go ahead. So I had dreamt that I was at my friend's house, but my friend's house was merged with my parents' house, and it was some kind of hybrid house of the two. And my friend and her family were planning on going on a vacation, and I was there to house sit. And I went from talking to her son and hyping him up and getting excited about the vacation, to walking down the hall with my friend. She goes into her daughter's room and closes the door behind her, and I sit on a bench outside of it. Now I'm sitting there, and this bench, it's like kind of rustic. It's a light white, light blue type aesthetic, and I sit down on it, and I'm just kind of chilling. At the corner of my eye, I see something pass by the window, and I catch that it's like wings. And this winged being, it is an owl with a woman's head. Now, this is important because woman hybrid birds have been a symbol for me in the waking space that has been very important for a while now. I mean, I have made alter ego protection sculptures of myself as a bird with a human woman head on it, and I've been really connecting to art around this symbolism. So this huge owl woman hybrid flies in to the door, like flies in through the door and sits next to me on this bench. It's perched up. Um, and so I said hello, and she nodded, asking me if I was prepared. Then she slowly cut my arm open with her claw. It barely hurt, but I felt different. And the way I would describe the way I felt was like between two different worlds. And I watched as like the cut kind of like glowed this blue light and then kind of like healed on its own. So even though you could see the scar of the cut, it was not an open wound anymore. So after she did that, and I was feeling this weird in between state, she told me not to worry, that it was a protective spell. And at that moment, my friend and her family walked towards the door, and I looked up, and she looked up. This bird woman looked up, and we said goodbye, but they didn't see her. They only saw me. Um, And so the door closed, they left, no one saw her. And then all of a sudden, I wake up in this diner, and it's dimly lit where all the booths are sitting right near me. And then everywhere else around the diner was pitch black and kind of like the void. And everybody was kind of sitting still and silent. And I remember I was holding a baby because the woman who the baby belonged to wanted to like was drinking, and I had a memory of taking the baby away from this woman who was drinking and getting like dangerous with her drinking, and I was holding this baby. And I just noticed that nobody was talking, everybody was pretty silent. And out of the corner of my eye, I see the diner window, a like dark essence pass by. And it's this masculine energy coming through. And it comes in, and all of a sudden, everybody holds their breath. And this masculine, like smoky figure starts going from booth to booth. And then I wake up. And I just felt like that was such an interesting dream. And I the feeling like I'm in between worlds after I'm like cut by this bird and like this bird woman, and it's a sense of protection, and then going into this space where like this seemingly negative figure, this being comes in. It's just very interesting. And I wake up before I even have an encounter.
Yeah, it's interesting. I definitely feel like you astral traveled in that. Like I feel like that owl lady was like a guardian, like a spirit guide, a guardian. Um, and it's like before you go into this realm, like this is what like I have to do this for your protection. And it like what really gets me even more curious is for me, I feel that that dream went on or whatever was happening went on. You just woke up and like in this reality, but there's some aspect of you or something. Yeah, something's going on. Like, cause I feel like when we dream, we're tuning into like other aspects of ourselves doing other things. And sometimes it's like we actually travel there or what have you, but like maybe our perspective travels there.
Right.
And so it's like your perspective was in that experience at that moment in time. And it really makes so much sense too, with like how you're primarily lucid in your dreams, right? And so it's like you're aware that your perspective, like you're full awareness basically of that perspective. And so I honestly, like, I don't know if I could even pinpoint like a meaning to that. That just feels to me like a astral travel, like a journey where it's like, okay, like you're going there, you're doing like maybe like there was something specific, or maybe your energy being present while that figure was there was important to shift whatever the dynamic was in that space. Or, who knows what that encounter was, like how that unfolded. So that could even be one of those things, if someone was really curious, I would be like, okay, why don't you like try to go back into that dream or do active imagination or meditation or pull cards to see like, okay, what was going on there? Why was I there? What happened? Just to continue that dream and see what comes forth. But that was really interesting. That was cool.
It was so interesting, and I really didn't feel a whole lot of fear, which was also interesting.
Mhm.
And it makes me think, like, was that protection, was it like when something bad is going to happen, you're going to wake up? Like when something is going to when you're in a situation, when you're in
Mhm.
danger, are you going to be able to like get out of it? Or again, was there something, beyond that?
Yeah.
I was it was very profound. And um I just that I felt like that was a guide for me, because as I'd mentioned, the woman bird hybrid has just been a symbol that's been really holding a place in my heart for years now. And the fact that it's like coming through in my dream space, I don't know, it's like a I don't know,
Oh,
it was
so it was like a thing like outside of your dreams
uh
or primarily in your dreams?
this is a symbol that I've been connected to for years. Like, I did a
Mhm.
sculpture of my alter ego, and it is a woman, like, head on a starling bird body.
Oh, cool.
And I've been really connected to artwork with that symbolism, and it's been
Mm,
something that's been really, like, I don't know, meaning it feels deeper than just
mm.
what it
Oh my
is.
goodness.
So to have it show up in my dream, it's like I've never had that happen before that I can recall. And again, I mean, I did my sculpture, God, it had to be within the last 4 years.
Wow.
I think I did my sculpture before I met you. Like,
Yeah.
it's been a long time of this being important symbolism for me, and like wings are something that's important. There's I mean I there's a lot of things that stick out to me as being important symbolism, but the fact that this came through in such a otherworldly, like, it wasn't a part of me, like, it didn't, that owl woman hybrid did not feel like my brain manifested it. It felt like another being. And when I was in that diner, that shadowy being didn't feel like a part of me. So it's so curious. And I do want to sit down and do some active imagination and try to get back into the dream space, because it's just so curious.
So my little extraterrestrial starseed mind, like I've been, for those of you who don't know, I've been really deep diving into galactic families and galactic races. So I don't know if Jackie, if you're here, you probably picked up on this too, but I definitely feel like this guide is like, it feels like a galactic guide, and there are starseed soul groups that basically have races that are avian. One of those is Lyra, like the Lyra group. So there's a Lyra species that are avians. So they're humanoids, but there is like a bird-like quality to them. Either they have bird heads and human bodies, or maybe it's like the other way around. But that, like, as soon as you started talking about it, um I was like, yeah, I feel that, especially when you're like, it's otherworldly. It wasn't me. It wasn't an aspect of me. It felt like a guide. So I'm getting some like galactic type energy, especially as it's like, speculated. So Jackie's in the chat saying 100. She resonates with that. There's, of course, like in our, even in entertainment or media, there are speculations or ideas and creations of these extraterrestrial beings that are, some are human, some are insects, some are animals, like hybrids and so forth. And so to me that really feels like that. um and it just feels like an avian type extraterrestrial galactic energy. So that's my piece on that. That was really, really cool. And it definitely, and that also feels like it couples really nicely with the astral travel. Like,
It
just like that was
does.
like, a guardian that's like, okay, you're about to go here, let me hook you up, like, shield you in some way, and then you go on and do your thing.
I also
So
just find it so interesting that, like, the family I was with in the beginning didn't see the guide, essentially. You know, like I
Mm-hmm.
could see her looking up at the family and the family
Yeah.
looking at me, but not seeing her. So it's just interesting the way that everything is coming, like that everything comes through these little details, these little
Yeah.
nuances, you know,
That's so cool.
it makes such
Oh
a
my
difference
goodness.
in our, you know, dream space and how we perceive things. But I'm blown away.
Mm,
So
nice.
we're around the time. Do you want to start pulling cards?
I mean, is the next stream, is it long or what's the deal?
It's
Or is that
short, but I
something?
don't want to
Yeah.
go, you know,
Yeah,
I don't want
maybe
I don't want to
save
extend it
it.
too much. I
Yeah,
might do this
save
one
it for next
for
week
like a
or
themed
something.
dream talk.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Let's go ahead. Yeah, because we're almost at a quarter till. I
So,
appreciate your presence with the time. So yeah, let's go ahead. But that was really cool. I'm excited because that's got my little extraterrestrial like tingly stuff going on. And I'm like, wow, that's so cool. So anyways, that'll be a side conversation for another time. But yeah, do you have a card already?
yes, I literally
Okay,
picked
you
up my
go.
deck. I like shuffled it once and a card flung out into my legs and I was like, "Well, that's it." So what came
Okay,
through is and I'm using my Deleted World tarot deck.
nice.
And so this is the reversed the turning wheel. It's reversed, so it's the wheel that turns. And here's the image.
Mm,
And I believe this card, so the way that this deck is set up, everything's different from it's similar to the Rider Waite, but it's different. So I believe this would be the Wheel of Fortune. Is that what it?
yeah,
No.
that's what I was thinking when I was looking
Yeah,
at
the
it.
Wheel of
It
Fortune.
looked kind of like Wheel of Fortune vibes.
And I think the Wheel of Fortune is 10 too.
Yeah, it is.
So this is the reversed of the turning wheel. So
Mm.
this is a fire card. It's ruled by Jupiter and it's under the sign of Taurus. The wheel forever turns, motion being in its only perpetual purpose. The wheel's eternal turning weaves together the threads of fate, revealing the cyclical nature of existence and the ever-shifting balance of fortune. Under the turning wheel, all things good and bad shall pass. So obviously the wheel of fortune.
Mm.
The wheel that turns, these keywords are resistance, stagnation, and
Mm.
powerlessness. In shadow, the wheel becomes a symbol of a futile attempt to cling to the illusion of control. When the wheel that turns
Mm.
feels like an external force, remember that you are an integral part of its movement. Embrace the unknown, trusting that even the darkest times, the wheel continues to turn, guiding you towards growth and evolution. So I feel as though this is a beautiful card for the collective right now.
I needed that so much.
I feel like things have been scary, and we really need to understand to our core that they're not always going to be like this. That
It
the
keeps
wheel
turning.
turns, the pendulum swings. What is bad will go and turn to good, and what is good will turn to bad. It is the cycle of
Mm.
life, and to not let what is what we're all experiencing right now keep us down. You know, go with the
Mm.
flow the best you can. Do the things that can make you feel okay. If you need to cry, if you need to break down and have your moments, allow that. But then allow yourself to move forward and do the best you can
Yeah.
to move through
Yeah.
these scary unknown times with the acknowledgement that there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. That's like so on point for right now. Where it's like what is it? What goes up must come down. What
Yep.
yeah, and then the cycle, like yeah, then it flows. So the wheel's always turning, let energy flow, don't resist the lows, don't resist the highs. When you're in those low moments, you're gonna have a high soon. Like it always, like you're not like if you are stuck in that low state, of course, like depression and anxiety and so forth, there is likely something that you're resisting, like and sometimes it could just be like resisting feeling it or resisting facing the fear associated with anxiety. It could be so many things, but allowing the energy to flow and just like being present and surrendering as best you can is the best way to navigate that. And that's a beautiful message for right now, because there is a lot of messed up things happening in the collective,
Yeah,
which, then it makes it harder for us to live our own individual lives, because it's just like our nervous system are like, it's just like how much are we going to be able to take?
yeah,
And it's not fun, it's not right, it's not fair, like it's like no one should be able to hold this kind of energy and experience what we're experiencing, and like get up
absolutely.
and go to work in the morning, like,
Right.
excuse me.
Be
um
gentle with yourself, take breaks, do what feels right, follow your intuition, maybe be alone for a little bit, maybe find company, whatever feels right in this
yeah.
moment.
Alrighty, so I received a card from my herbal astrology oracle deck. I've used this before, so I'm gonna just pin my screen here. So we have Venus coming through, and with Yarrow. I don't know if you can see that. So Yarrow, and the keyword here is harmony.
Ooh,
And so we see the balancing scales. I feel like our cards work really nicely together.
yeah.
And what I will add too is that Venus and Jupiter are considered to be the planets that are here to do good. They're benevolent energy. So Jupiter's here to expand and bring abundance and prosperity and growth. And Venus is bringing peace, love, and harmony, essentially. So let me see what it says here in the guidebook. So the additional energies is equilibrium, balance, discernment, nourished psychic shield, divinatory empathy, and sensitivity. So if you're feeling emotionally drained or too sensitive for today's world, wow,
Oh
it's
my
time to
gosh.
it's time to set solid boundaries to regain balance. Use your empathic abilities as grounding cords to your psychic powers and divinatory skills. Allow your sensitivity to be a filter for what is allowed within your psychic field and what isn't. Like the magic of the white heron, move slowly with precision as you navigate emotional waters. Heron teaches us the power of self reflection as a way to transcend judgmental projections and low self worth. Draw clear boundaries and examine yourself from a detached perspective. Don't blame situations or others as a reason to remain stuck. Yarrow's white light teaches us the power of shielding while remaining gentle in the process of self discovery. Wow. Okay.
That is so
Damn.
beautiful and so divine. Our cards really do work so well together. I mean,
Ugh, yeah,
I feel like we all really needed those messages.
we really did. Yeah, we need that Jupiter, we need that Venus, and setting boundaries is something that I've really been I think I mentioned that in the first part of this video. Grounding and creating an energetic shield for yourself. Right now it's really, really important, especially as we're going to be getting closer and closer to eclipse season, because the next time we have the dark moon dream reflections, we're going to be in eclipse season. There's a Mercury retrograde coming up pretty soon, and Pisces. Like, there's a lot going on, and the dream space is going to be very active. So my cat is like staring at me in my eyes, like affirming. She's like, yep, I'm gonna be busy, sleeping a lot,
Hmm.
and traveling. But yeah, so definitely take care to tend to your dreaming space. Maybe freshen up your routines, maybe change out your sleeping crystals, you know, all the things. Awesome. Anything else you want to share or add,
Yes,
Alexis?
real quick before we head out, we did forget an announcement.
Oh yeah, we
So
did. Two
just
announcements
to
actually.
just just to do that real quick before the episode ends, I want to bring up Dramigos. So if you guys don't know, Urania and I work for a developing app called Dramigos. It's DREAMIGOS. You can find this on the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. It is a wonderful dream app where you can share your dreams in a variety of ways and keep them to yourself, Or you can put them on the public dream line, which gives you an opportunity to get guidance and interpretation from dream experts like Urania and I. Another aspect to this is you get to be a part of our monthly free dream circle and our upcoming sofa talks. So if you haven't downloaded it today, go hit that button, get that downloaded, and join us.
And there's going to be a dream circle coming this Tuesday, January 20th, which is my birthday. I will likely be there. When we get the link, we'll have that in the description of this video for you. Yeah, so check it out. Dream expert, Vlado, he's amazing. He's a Jungian analyst. He will be facilitating the circle. So it's going to be really exciting. I love his perspective, and he's a Scorpio, and he's like, I know one of his like focus is like dark religion, or at least he like wrote a book about dark religion and stuff, like very Scorpio vibes. I know he's got an Aquarius rising too, not to put his business out there, but there's a Scorpio and Aquarius vibes happening. So I'm like really excited. So that'll be January 20th. And so we'll share the link on that when it's ready. More than likely, we'll share an update about it on our Instagram. Also, one more announcement on January 25th. I'm teaching a class. What am I saying? I'm teaching a lucid dreaming one-on-one class, like the basics, and also like sharing what to do in a lucid dream, how to induce it. And so, if you are curious about lucid dreaming, or maybe you have and you're curious about my perspective, definitely join me for this online class on January 25th. And you can get all the details. I'll put the link in the description of this video as well. So we will be back next week live. And thank you everyone for hanging out. Anything else, Alexis?
Nope.
Alrighty. See you guys later.
Sweet dreams.